Apologies in advance, this video is going to be even lower production quality than before. We'll be back to my normal level of mediocrity next week. I'm writing a chess program in Lisp that I can put on my Kindle. Where we left off last week, I could render a chess board that is a bunch of light and dark squares, and I could render some pieces, not in the right places, but I could render them. The goals for this week were figure out how we're going to represent the game, and especially how we're going to represent board state, render a board from a game state, handle clicks, and ideally to then be able to update the game state and move pieces around by clicking. We actually kind of did that. For placing the pieces on the board, the first thing to decide was how I want to represent the actual square locations. So in chess, we have ranks and files. Ranks go horizontally, files go vertically. The ranks have numbers 1 through 7, and the files are A to H. And so when we address a square, we say B6. I want most of my game logic to follow those names. And then, of course, we can translate from a given square to the actual pixel coordinates based on math and stuff. So that's what we did. I don't know if it's idiomatic to take apart a Lisp keyword like this. If anybody watching actually knows Common Lisp, let me know if you see anything horribly wrong about what I'm doing here. To represent a position, I'm just using an associative list from square to the piece that's on it. And piece right now is just a keyword indicating the type of piece and a keyword indicating the color. I'm just hard-coding the starting position and started by trying to render that. And after some fiddling, it actually works. You can't see the pieces super well, especially the black pieces. I asked Claude to just add a white outline to the piece rendering function. I really want to be careful about the extent to which I rely on LLM tooling. I think that's a fine job for LLMs. I don't really care about that stuff. Next came registering clicks on the board. I decided to take a peek at GNOME Games that was written using GTK2 and see what the callback is called. That gave me a chance to sort of grep for the right thing in the Common Lisp library, and I eventually found what I needed. There's a lot of baked-in assumptions. Those assumptions will break eventually, but for now, this works. It was around this time that I started to get really frustrated with my package structure, or lack thereof. When writing a Common Lisp program, you're really constantly interacting with the REPL, the read eval print loop, and you can evaluate things iteratively from that. What I've been writing is not so much a real program, so much as a collection of functions that if you evaluate them in the right order, causes something to happen on screen. It's just a big mess. It was around this time that I decided to actually learn about package management with Common Lisp. I learned a little bit about how to use ASDF, which is the main package manager thing. This did involve me giving a little bit of structure to the project. At this point, I finally started to write down and encode how I'm actually representing the game state, not just the current position, but what's actually happening in the game. I wanted to keep my way of modeling the game very close to how chess players think about the game. With that in mind, I defined a move class that has the start and end square and the piece that was moved. A game, then, is literally just a collection of moves. It has a history, and that history is just a stack of moves. I'm really starting to feel the lack of static typing. I spent a whole hour dealing with a bug that would have been caught at compile time in a static language. I've heard that there are ways you can add static typing to Lisp. It may be time to start experimenting with that. Another thing that ties into this is if I want to test the program, if I hit an error or something, the whole REPL, the whole program gets into this state where I have to force kill the window. It's a pain in the ass. I haven't read the chapter on error handling yet, but it's probably time. That said, we can kind of almost play a game of chess now. I can move pieces around. I can move them very freely. We're not enforcing, any of the rules of chess or anything, but I'm pretty happy. So, what are my goals for next week? Priority 1, we gotta fix my feedback loops. I think it's ripe for writing some unit tests. Once I have a decent feedback loop, there are a couple of glaring bugs that I do want to fix. Lastly, I do want to go ahead and get this thing running on my Kindle, just to make sure that that works. I expect this to be an enormous pain in the ass. The learning continues. If you have questions, concerns, compliments, criticisms, I want to hear it. Post in the comments, and I will see you next time.